It's Wellness Wednesday. It's Wellness Wednesday. And this Wellness Wednesday, we're talking about embracing the mess. Not my background. For people who are autistic and struggle with change to visuals, this bookshelf is going to be moving. There was a furniture sale at Walmart. Yes, I shop at Walmart. It's one of the few places I can afford to shop at. But that is going over on the wall so the actual books can go on it, because I actually need that. And there's going to be more of a display shelf there. So there will be changes. I'm just warning everybody so that we'll do it in stages so we can get used to it. But I am working on sort of taming the mess as a metaphor. I got to get stuff off the floor. There's too much shit just lying around. I scratched my arm trying to get something earlier today. I ordered it before this, but I'm like, shit, I need places to put stuff. The space is not functional. So, yeah. But it got me thinking about accepting our inner mess, embracing our inner mess. And that doesn't mean going completely out of control. Quite the opposite. It means creating a flexibility in our own judgments so we can actually experience a greater sense of control internally while needing less control externally. And this is a tough skill to learn. Usually, if you pick this up, it's done by mimicry with people around you. There is an element of character that's at play here. You know, in the big five, it's like neuroticism. They've taken that, you know, stigmatized language out of the Hexaco. But, you know, adapting, going with the flow, rolling with the punches, it's easier and harder. I just realized this is a tape measure. Mortimer, why do you have a tape measure by your butt? Okay. There are certain things that this is going to be harder for some people than others. It's especially hard for people on the autism spectrum who struggle with feeling like every negative social interaction is their fault. The anxiety that comes from having to be overly polite, having to be over conciliatory, constantly masking. It creates this perfectionism that isn't healthy. It's exhausting. But let me do the help support this channel and we'll get into the topic. That took a while. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron, patreon.com/Leanna K, or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it. Coffee.com/Leanna K. The support is more important than ever right now. I'm giving more freebies and letting people delay payment because times are fucking tough out there. We still don't have a firm election result here in Canada. They're still counting shit. But, okay. So, we are not purely logical beings. No matter how much of an earthbound Vulcan you are, everybody has emotions. There are things that just bother you. You might know why. You might not know why. But especially these things that bother you and you don't know why yet, that can be profoundly scary. And people can panic and seek control over stuff to tame that mess. And it doesn't work. There is no way to control emotions. You can control your outward reactions, sure, but that's still masking. You can control what you tell yourself about a given situation. So what you're reacting to in terms of the narrative you're telling yourself about your experience, that you can control. But, you know, an emotional response, emotions happen faster than thought. And therefore, we have to just accept that mess. Now, we don't need to like it. We don't. I say, and it's not therapy, that ignoring negatives isn't being positive. And what that means is important to go, I'm not happy, this sucks, so that improvements can happen instead of dissociating and wallowing in misery, right? Thinking there's no better and coming up with all these frameworks to justify not seeking happiness. There's so much garbage out there about happiness not being real, free will not being real. They're very real things. And there's a lot of shit out there that are basically frameworks to give people a reason to just not try, to give up. And yeah, sure, we all feel like giving up sometimes. I do. Everybody does. Things get hard. Things are hard right now. We are going through a period of chaos, and most of us can do shit fuck all about the wider forces at play. Part of the reason I got into the, artist mentoring and the peer counseling is because, and, personal coaching is because I saw in the media, like, all right, we had the opportunity to influence, and we did as much as we could helping to influence on a youth channel, just open-mindedness and, working through things rationally, challenging assumptions. I hate the term critical thinking now because most of what people think critical thinking isn't. And that's, the thing is, Much Music was daily chaos. It was flow. It was live. It's like shit went wrong. Somebody went long. We have to retime the whole fucking show now. It was good for me to learn because I am still I like things organized. And I am so busy now that I've realized I'm like in a constant state of embarrassment because of the fact that I do not have the opportunity to plan. Ever since last October, it's been get through the month and then it'll be better. Get through the month and then it'll be better. And it isn't easing up. So, I caught myself going, okay, just get through April. Just get through this week. May will be different. May will slow down. And I realized, I said April would slow down and it didn't. Now, people go away for the summer, so maybe the client load will get less. So if you want to sign up, great time. But, usually people sign up in the fall or the winter. Summer's less. But because it's client-based work and because it's people's emotions and because the internet is what it is, there is chaos. There is a mess. And the more people you deal with, the messier it gets. And that's why I'm not cut out for polyamory. I love the messiness of people, but those boundaries that are necessary. I wish I'd learned earlier what boundaries meant, what acceptance meant, what closure meant. And I've been privileged and blessed. I like blessed, but I know atheists watch. To work with autistic people who are like, what does closure mean? What does acceptance mean? What does moving on mean? And it's like, yeah, these are things. Forgiveness is another one that we encourage people to seek out actively. And the truth is that these are all things that we get from doing other work. So, acceptance, for instance, is something that happens by doing the work and processing and kind of making sense of things. And if you're doing your self-concept work, if you're doing, you're really figuring out what your positive qualities are, because everybody has them. And then, doing the shadow work on the flip side, then acceptance just kind of happens. You can't just go, I accept. It doesn't work. Same with closure. You can't just will yourself to have closure. Closure is a byproduct of process. So is forgiveness. So is moving on. And it's about when something dramatic or traumatic happens, deranged blossom, it doesn't make sense. And it feels scary because it makes sense. The bad feelings aren't stopping. The mean people aren't stopping. And you just feel like it's going to go on forever. And I mean, there is sort of a permanent struggle to life. I remember when I was in my 20s, it's like, why is it so hard? This is not, it shouldn't be so hard. And everybody's like, oh, you gotta be super successful by 30. And then I get into my 30s and it's like, well, that was bullshit. I just wasted a decade worrying about stupid shit. And then you sort of get to your 40s and you're like, well, the struggle is in all of us. It is a constant in life. Sometimes it's worse, sometimes it's better, but it's always there. How do I accept it and make peace with it and slow it down instead of trying to stop it so that it's not so overwhelming? And that's the thing I found work best for me. I mean, nobody can be on the internet without some people like unhealthy level despising them. Name your favorite person in the world. Somebody who thinks that, you think no one can, they're just a good person. Someone on the internet hates them, right? It's just people read shit in. People put words in your mouth. People just will not acknowledge that you said, hey, right there, that thing you said I did. I said, I'm not doing that. Oh, you're lying. You're a grifter. You're a narcissist. This is an easy thing for anybody to lay on someone who puts themselves in front of a camera. And I know for me, because I am so profoundly introverted, this content, the stuff I do on YouTube, is in service of the work I want to do. It's not an end in itself. And so I have to, I'm still in a process of learning of how to dole out my energy in a way that works for me instead of being chronically exhausted. Now with an autoimmune disease and asthma, and, chronic pain that may be related to an autoimmune and lingering post-COVID symptoms, easier said than done, especially this time of year. Like, I'm constantly winded this time of year. Thanks, I hate it. But it's just sort of, this is what it is. Being frustrated against it won't change it. It'll just up my stress levels. And there is just sort of a peace you make with, okay, there are things I want to do. I believe very strongly in that in these spaces with a high amount of autistic people, a high amount of neurodivergent people, I won't just include autistics, ADHD, all that stuff. Mental health is different. It is. And to me, that makes me think that maybe the entire approach is wrong. Like, maybe we're ishing it for neurotypicals, and neurotypicals can kind of delude themselves into thinking that they're directly targeting acceptance But you probably had those people who do like a wellness retreat and they come back like all fake zen, like I am one with my surroundings, and 2 months later they're like, "Ah!" Like it doesn't take, right? Because the permanent changes haven't happened. The permanent changes they're small, right? People I work with who, when I first start working with them, every compliment I give them is pushback. And they're all honest compliments. Like, these are things I sincerely think are good about them. I'm very good at seeing good in people. That doesn't mean I can't see the bad, but I can see, like, yes, this person is very smart. This person is very diligent. This person is very compassionate, right? It's responsible, reliable. Reliable people get taken advantage of a lot. But at first they're like, no, I don't feel it. Like, they get uncomfortable. And as the work goes on, they sort of go, like, you see, it's like, yeah, that feels true now. You know, I am conscientious. I am reliable, right? And one of the things I've said to someone lately is if someone takes advantage of your good nature, that's on them. Because a good nature can't be a bad thing. There's not enough good-natured people in this world. So anybody who takes advantage of them, the moral failing is on the person doing the manipulation, not the person who was manipulated. And we go, oh, why didn't you see that coming? You should have known better. Like, you should have been smarter. Like, no. Learn for next time, because people don't want to get hurt again. But that criticism, when someone already feels shitty enough because they were taken advantage of, it doesn't do anything good, right? Going, okay, how are we going to keep those parts of yourself that you like and do frameworks so you can still be that giving, generous, kind person and not be taken advantage of? You know, and I know with myself, I had all the loud noises, smells, food texture issues. Like, I had all these neurodivergent symptoms as a kid. And everybody was just toughen up, toughen up, toughen up, toughen up. What's wrong with you? Toughen up. You know, all this stuff. And it doesn't work. It just made me overwhelmed and overloaded and less capable of dealing with stress. And it wasn't because my cope was low. It was because, the reservoir was constantly almost filled. So every little bit was, oh my God, overflow, overwhelm. And I realized that I have to accept that that's my limit. So I have to take my daily boundaries down more, so that I have the extra space to cope with shocks. And I mean, easier said than done. I don't work. I don't get paid. I need about 2 weeks off right now. I'm not going to get it. I can't afford it. So, the only reason I can take maybe 2 days off here and there is because of the Patreon support. That's invaluable, but times being what they are, people can't afford it anymore. They're losing their jobs. Their businesses is dropping. So, and everyone I know in services is in the same boat. And it's the sort of thing, okay, it's a mess, right? We've been through this before. I was a games journalist when Gamergate happened, and freelance rates went from $250 an article to $100 an article because ad rates went, and gaming never fucking learns. Like, and I don't blame the gamers. I blame the people on the other side. I blame the journalists. I blame, not the developers, but the marketers and the PR people for creating that. That was handled really badly. This idea that young men are dangerous and need to be controlled, right? It's been a stereotype for as long as I've been alive. And, you look at all the anti-DEI transphobic shit. The polling doesn't say it's 18 to 29-year-old men. It's it's what is it, 45 to 64? The Gen X, the one I'm at the low end of. We're the fucking bigots. Like, we're the ones that, and it's men, but even the female numbers, the female Gen X numbers are only 2 points lower than the male Gen Z numbers. It's not Gen Z. It's not. The kids have anxiety, but the kids do not have hate. It's a vocal minority. Gen X off the charts, and it makes sense, right? We're getting older. We can't be abused the same way we were when we were younger. Our bodies will quit, you know? And so we're pushed aside. And that is unfortunately one of the great cruelties of the modern world, is that we have to work to 65 or longer, but people see women as useless at 40, and men start getting, with exceptions, but men start being, oh, grandpa at 50. It's always, 10 years longer for men. I mean, Pedro Pascal, Tom Cruise, they're getting up there. There's a lot of actors in their 60s. Medicine, gender affirming care for men is a lot more effective than equivalent stuff for women. Low testosterone is easier to treat than some of the changes with perimenopause and then menopause. And I mean, the testosterone gel's not fun, but it does exist. Like, it is pretty gross. I wish they had they do have alternatives, shots. But there's just this thing, and I started getting it at 28 years old. You're out of the demographic, which means you're too old. And so it was hard. It really rocks you. It really knocks your sense of self to be told that you're too old to do so. I'm 28 fucking years old. What the fuck? It was a music video channel, right? But ageism's a real thing. And ageism is one of those things that we don't have any systems to counteract. And so you get to this age, and, I went from being a dumb slut, shut up, to stupid old lady, shut up. There was no period where it was like, yes, we will listen to you now. You are socially acceptable. It's strange. And I mean, I don't feel old. I feel sick. I feel tired, but I don't feel old. I mean, Christ, I'm wearing a Has-Been Hotel shirt. Stuffed a possum. But I have to accept that I can't control people's perceptions of me. I thought there'd be an age where there would be more respect. There isn't. And the grass is always greener. We always assume other people have it more together than they do compared to us. Like, there's this fundamental error that everybody else has their shit together. I'm the only one that's a disaster. And that's not true. Nobody has their shit totally together. And when you just accept, like, yeah, there's things I'm still working on. There's things that I still want to improve. I find that helps you have a more useful attitude, Am I content with my accomplishments so far? Sure. Like, if I died tomorrow, would I feel like, okay, I did some shit? Yeah. Is there more I want to do? Yeah, absolutely. And, because of certain health conditions I have a lowered life expectancy, so I need to fucking hustle. That's okay. I'm going to look at that as motivating. I'm not going to get the existential dread because it doesn't help me. And that's the odd thing. It really is. And I wish I'd learned this sooner. It really is about expectations that if I expect things to be kind of messy and chaotic, and they are, all right, met expectations. if I need everything to be tightly controlled and organized and this and that, and it's not, well, then it's going to be more anxiety. And I like events I run. I like things I do to be organized. I'm a bit of a like organizational freak when it comes to ideas and projects and things like that. But that's a respect thing for the other people involved. My job as sort of a team leader is to communicate to other people so they can do their jobs relatively autonomously. So yeah, I like organization. But I like organization because then when things go to shit, they go less to shit. And they always go to shit. There is always chaos. There's always drama. And coming at it like, yep, here it goes. Yeah, who's going to yell at me this week? Who's going to think I'm a bitch this week? Who's going to call me a narcissist this week? Like, yeah, okay, there it happened. Now I can feel better. It may be a bit of a nihilistic, a bit of a fatalistic worldview, but it's better than living in fear of being labeled things you're not. Because I can't control those people. You can't control those people. And nobody is universally beloved. Nobody. Absolutely no one. So it's okay if people don't like you. Now, it is scary as shit when people are trying to fuck you up, trying to menace you, trying to ruin what you're doing by spreading false rumors and, reporting you to your job and all that stuff. All that's happened to me. All that happens to me on an ongoing basis. But I can't control it. I drove myself literally crazy, had a breakdown, trying to prevent being stalked. In the age of the internet, you can't. You have to go look, the whole sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Is that person far enough to throw a stone or hit me with a stick? Like, okay, they're out of stick range. They're out of stone range. Free speech. And yeah, it goes in the realm of defamation. The problem is we're dealing with US standards on the internet, no matter where we are, which is kind of shitty. But, it is what it is. And I just accept the mess. It is there. It's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. I get tired. So I've learned to take time because I'm tired, plan it, schedule it in, bring down that overall stress so I have more in the tank. But that took way too long because I didn't have anyone helping me do it. And that's why I do it for other people, like working the exercises, focusing people's attention on the stuff they can control, and just letting people talk and listening and going, yeah, what you're saying makes total sense. I mean, whether you can do something about it is a different story, but what you're saying makes sense. Like, I understand where you're coming from. And to me, that isn't just easy. I actually enjoy that. I actually enjoy hearing other people's perspectives. That's how I manage to be an interviewer, even though introversion is real, internally screaming around a lot of people. I was at the mall on the weekend, Lord have mercy. But it's just, I am legitimately interested. And that, I think, helps me accept my inner mess, is learning about other people's inner messes. Like, the more you talk to people, the more you find out that most people are just sort of making it up as they go. They're stumbling through it. They kind of know what they're doing in some ways. They don't know what they're doing in others. There's always places where there's insecurity. And the goal is not to feel secure in everything. The goal is to find something you feel secure in, so that when you do get knocked off game, when you do encounter something that just makes you feel awful, you can step back and recenter in the thing you're sure of. And then from there, go, what the fuck happened? right? Because you can't control other people. You can't control greater world events. All you can control is how you talk to yourself and how you talk to other people. And that takes enough time and energy focusing on that, let me tell you. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Again, very, very important. Patreon.com/LeannaK. Or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it. Coffee.com/LeannaK. We are coming up on Discord links going up next week again to join the Leannorama Discord server. It's a great server. It's a great bunch of people. I take no credit. It's just great people. Thanks for watching and be well.